Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Pole Obsession with me, Felix Kane, and my lovely friend Elizabeth Domazet. And I don't really know how to introduce this one because it's not a fun one that we're doing. So yeah, what shall I say? What should we say?
We're talking about WA pole championships that happened on the weekend, what goes into running these competitions, why rules and standards exist, and what we're trying to do and where we're trying to take competitive pole in Australia. So that's really what we're talking about. I am going to go into before Felix talks about the weekend because I wasn't there. She was there and she was running WAPC. But I'm going to talk it from a national point of view, why the Australian Pole Championships is the way it is, what we're trying to achieve from it, and why our rules exist. So I'm just going to read something that I've written down. I want to talk about the bigger picture because I think that's something that gets completely lost in this conversation. We've been doing this for close to 2 decades, and our focus has never been one competition, one competitor, or one moment on the stage. We're trying to build something for pole dancers across the entire country. Every year we run competitions around Australia, and behind every one of those events are venues, theatres, production, staff, insurance, marketing, travel, trophies, photographers, videographers, and thousands of hours of work that people understandably never see. I'm not trying to say this because I want people to feel sorry for us. I'm saying it because it explains the perspective we have to operate from. When we make a decision about APC, we have to look at the whole competition and where we are trying to take it. For almost 2 decades, we've been trying to give pole dancers bigger stages, greater recognition, and opportunities outside of the walls of the pole industry. We want major sponsors looking at these athletes. We want broader audiences. We want media opportunities. We want our champions to have great opportunities that simply have never existed before. And if we want to build something at that level, we have to operate as a professional competition. Professional competitions have rules. They have safety regulations, judging criteria, eligibility requirements, costume requirements, and standards of conduct. That doesn't mean our rules have to be everybody's rules. There are more pole competitions now than ever before, and I think that's fantastic. They have different identities, different styles, and different rules. Competitors can choose the competitions that align with how they want to perform, and APC is allowed to have an identity too. Our vision is to present pole in a way that we believe gives these athletes the greatest opportunity to reach a broader audience and attract commercial opportunities into the sport. Does that mean every rule we have will remain forever? Of course not. We listen, we review, we evolve, and sometimes we get things wrong. But there is a big difference between asking whether a rule could be clearer or improved and saying that a competition shouldn't be allowed to have that rule in the first place. Nobody is saying that there is only one way to do pole. Absolutely not. This is simply the direction we have chosen for the Australian Pole Championships. So while this conversation may have started because of one costume on one night, our responsibility is much bigger than that. We have to think about the competition as a whole, the hundreds of athletes, and we get hundreds of athletes every single year who come through it, and what we are trying to build for them long term. And that's the perspective that I think is missing from this conversation.
We could definitely talk about, like you and I, Elle, can talk about this all day from an organizer's perspective, but there is another perspective that we do want to introduce and really matters in the conversation as well. And that is the competitor's perspective is an important one as well. And so we have the lovely Tiger Lily here with us, who competed on Saturday and did beautifully. Thank you so much for joining the discussion. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And I think I also want to preface by saying, like, you're always such a joy to watch. And And it's so unfortunate when things like this almost overshadow the performance of the night. And so I want to pay special attention to you as a performer. And thank you so much for, continuing to grace the stage and bringing all the power and athleticism and beauty that you do to the stage. I also really adore that every time you have such a powerful theme to bring and such a powerful message. And it really, I had a little tear last night because it really, your piece touched me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I
That
appreciate
means a
it.
lot. I always hope that somebody feels something. That's the most important thing at the end of it. So, yeah.
I got the feels.
Good.
So I think Elle and I are just going to launch into some question and answers for you, and please feel free to be as honest as you like.
Okay.
My first question is, did you understand the costume requirements before competing?
Yes, and I've done this comp a few times in a row, so I'm familiar with this. So, yeah, I was well informed with the costume, especially. Rules around that have been very strict and very firm. And I know that Joe was actually someone who was very, very careful and always made sure we were, quite, following the rules with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What responsibility do you think as a competitor that you have to understand the rules?
I think the onus is on us 100%, because when you decide to join a competition, you take on the responsibility of knowing the details of the comp, the criteria, the rules, the regulations, every detail around the comp is your job to know. You take full responsibility, I think, in my opinion, that at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you had enough information provided from the competition organizer, which is us, to clearly understand what the rules were? Or was there something that we could have done better?
I think when it comes to competition costume rules or music timing or like location or things like that, I think those kinds of details where it's a controlled environment or a controlled outcome, that kind of thing has been very, very clear to me. At least I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for others, but of course there are things that things happen, venue changes, time, in terms of people dropping out of comps, and so time shifts, things that are not within our control, that's different. But when it comes to things that are within our control, like costumes or, that I think that's well within. I've been well informed on things like that. So, yeah.
As a competitor who, follows the rules, knows the rules, and does, I think, comply with the rules all the time. When you see somebody, if you see somebody who is not following the rules and not complying with the rules, would you think it would then be fair for them to have like a different set of rules and not be penalized?
So if I saw someone else that was not abiding by the rules, and this is something that it goes beyond pole comps, right? People do things that are against rules all the time. Doesn't mean that I follow suit, doesn't mean that I would think that the rules have changed. I think that, even if someone came to me and said, "Oh, do you know that this is fine now," or the assumption is that this is fine now, I probably wouldn't, monkey see, monkey do type of situation. I would definitely either check with the organizers to be sure if there are changes, and that's just me. But I mean, not everyone would think the same way. Yeah. So,
Well, we do say at the end of almost every email, if you've got any questions or concerns, please reach out to us.
I think oftentimes if I ever am in doubt about something, it's best to go to the source of like directly consult the people who are organizing it or who are in charge, and be clear that you get the right information up front and early enough if you are in any doubt at all. And this is just something that I practice with everything. So that's me. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. There is obviously costumes different in WA than there is in other states. Now, I have been told that there is a costume maker in WA that suggests to people it's okay to wear smaller costumes and what the rules and regulations. Are you feel comfortable talking about that?
I'd say that she was told that it was okay
By whom?
by competitors who are requesting, you
The
know,
costume maker?
yeah. And that, so when I went to get my costume made and I was requesting for bigger pants and more coverage, I was told, oh, so and so has not had any issues, and it seems to be okay. And I mean, that's just the experience that she had. And I said, no, I'm not risking it. That's just great for her, but great for whoever. It's just not something I want to risk, and I was not willing to take that risk. But that's just also me and my point of view. So, yeah.
Yeah. Erring on the side of caution and
Yeah.
yeah, I think that unfortunately there can be a muddying of information if the information does not come from the source. So yeah, people may think and believe one thing, but that thing isn't necessarily true. Like I'm sure the costume designer isn't trying to do anything in malice. She's just saying what
No.
she knows to be true.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate when things like that happen.
Yeah. And I mean, I think with like costume makers, I mean, I guess, I mean, in an ideal sense, would I prefer to have smaller pants that I could probably use for multiple comps or, other, even routines or practices or whatever? Sure. But I knew what I signed when I decided to do this comp. And to me, the rule is clear. That we're not supposed to have a certain amount of coverage or we're supposed to have a certain amount of coverage. And so to me, it was not ambiguous in any way, despite seeing other people having smaller pants. That's something they wanted to gamble with. And if they didn't get called out on it, then good on them. But it was not something I personally was willing to gamble on. So, yeah. I suppose the only other thing I would say is that when I actually didn't know that disqualifications had happened last year because of this issue. I had not known even that it had happened to other people in this comp this year. And I think when I initially heard that there was a group disqualification and then later on heard that it was a costume issue or technicality because of costume, I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. Like why, I didn't think the costume was terribly bad. And so I felt for Kat. I genuinely felt it was awful that she had to go through that whole process. But like I said before, to me personally, I would never put myself in a position where that's even going to be something that's going to be like an area of contention. Like I would not even want to be in that position. And so while I sympathize, I also am very aware of the rules. And I think I'm grateful, actually, to be honest, that we have these kinds of rules because I think there has to be mutual respect both ways. Whether comps I love strippers. I love seeing lots of ass, lots of cheeks, lots of boobs and tits and all of that. I support that always. And I don't have anything against anyone that does want to show more butt, more boobs or whatever. But I also am grateful for a space where I can invite my mother, my grandfather, I can have my bosses, I can have my work colleagues attend and not be worried about those kinds of issues ever coming up in a comp or having them feel awkward in any way. So I'm grateful that we have diversity. I'm grateful that we have options. I'm grateful that we have different types of comps that cater to different levels of exposure of self. And that's just the freedom to be able to do all and everything, right? That's the beauty of pole. And I feel sad. I actually feel really sad that this has happened, to be honest. Yeah.
We'll do. It's not it is really not fun for anybody involved. Like there's nobody who's
Yeah.
coming out on top, There's
Yeah.
there's no winner. So
No, exactly. And I think that it's really unfortunate that when someone does get disqualified for something like this, and it's explicitly clear in the rules that this is a rule, um, it's it's just like, well, what do you do? And I mean, I understand certain things are just not nice to experience. They're awful to experience, but rules are rules, and that's just, yeah. It's like I can't remember. There was this movie I watched the other day with Cuba Gooding Jr. about chess players, and they were an all-black team. They turned up. One of the guys in the team had forged a signature, and he won. He actually won the chess game. I don't know if you guys know this movie, by the way,
I don't.
but in the end, it turned out that because he had forged the signature, even though he had won, he was disqualified. And they turned it into this whole situation of race. And they said, oh, it's because he's colored and blah, blah, blah. And the guy who actually, so Cuba Gooding Jr., who was the leader, said, no, it's because you didn't obey the rules. You had to get consent. And that's just it, right? It's having respect for the sport. It's having respect for the rules. And it's having respect for yourself to know that you've taken ownership of your decisions prior to getting yourself on that stage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very
I think
well
that,
said.
yeah, I was going to say exactly that, Elle. Very, very well said. Very, and true as well. And I don't know if you want to keep this in, Elle, but I think that, what's really difficult has been seeing all the hatred that's come out of it on social media and the aftermath. When there is, I think that initial emotional response of, disappointment, anger, and then people without all of the information that we have, which is, the rules, the regulations, like, they don't see that side of it. And then it gets turned into something else. So like you're saying with the movie, an issue of race, and it's not,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
it's something completely different that we're talking about. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good analogy and of what's happened here. So yeah.
Yeah, I just was thinking, like, I mean, I'm all for supporting women and being able to have the freedom to wear absolutely anything that they want, always, and express themselves in every form that they want. That doesn't make me a prude to say that if I want to follow the rules, that I'm any less supportive of that. The two can exist together. Truths can exist. It doesn't
Definitely.
make me any less supportive or any less respectful of those that want to wear less. I love it. I'm all for it. I'm here for it, man. Always. It just means that, yeah, there are different expectations with different comps, and we just have to be conscious of it, and it's our responsibility to be doing that.
This particular comp is more of, lack of a better word, more of a conservative comp. And there's reasons behind.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
that you said it earlier, and also Daphne touched on it. I wouldn't say conservative, because for the general public, even the more conservative, inverted commas, costumes are not conservative at all.
No.
We are desensitized to it because we exist in the pole sphere, right? Where the costumes are tiny and we're used to seeing a lot of skin. But for the general public, even this competition standard of coverage would be considered small for the general public. And I think that's, why you made it this way, Elle, because you do want it to be accessible to all ages, to the public, to make it mainstream, to get commercial opportunities. Like, these things will come a lot easier if we don't have that initial, disgust, which isn't right. It's not correct, but it's easier doorway. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not saying that that's wrong. We're just saying that this is more palatable to the general public. Unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. It's the society that we live in. And I'm not saying that that anything else is wrong or bad. I'm just saying that, like, we're kind of stuck in this,
Yeah. And that's exactly right. Like, there is no right or wrong, right? I think this obsession with something automatically being extremely wrong or extremely right is very, very polarizing. And it's we can all exist in the gray and accept both, right?
Yeah.
And I think what was the main issue for some of the competitors, and I'll speak openly about this on behalf of a lot of the competitors, because this was the main issue was, okay, some girls were disqualified last year for having little pants and some girls were not. And some of them were allowed to still take home places and get winning prizes. And the discrepancy between that was what was confusing. And so I guess I think it's good to clarify the reasons for why that was, and maybe that's something that people would need to understand, because I didn't understand it myself either at the time. So
reasons that last year got through is the girls that did have the small pants, they were still Brazilian. The one that got disqualified was very much so a G-string. So it was a G-string style pant. So Brazilian is slightly more coverage than G-string. It is not to code, but it is slightly more coverage. So we had to look within ourselves and say, what did we do wrong that they thought that that was okay to wear? So we spoke to and as I always do, I spoke to the state organizer, spoke to Felix, said this cannot happen again. We've got to make these rules clearer. So we also don't, very clearly, let me point out, we do not want to disqualify anyone ever. Ever. That is not fun for them. It's not something I want to do to somebody who has worked so hard to get to a national competition. But the judges last year said, absolutely not, we're not scoring this is beyond. And then with the ones that were more of Brazilian cut, we said they've got through to this. They did that in state. So now we're going to have to think about how we're communicating this. And maybe it was us that wasn't clear enough to them. That is why a couple of them that were more Brazilian than the full bum. And can I just say, we're not asking for gluteal fold. That's not in any of our rules. It's majority of products covered. So if you need a gluteal fold for grip, you can have that. So it's not Prude City over here, we understand that we've got pole dancers as well. We understand you need skin to grip the pole. We're very, very aware of that. We've been pole dancing for decades. So, so that's really moving forward discussions within all my team. Felix is not the only organizer. I've got other organizers in different states. Registration, when they sign up, it is in the rules and regulations. They sign every competitor, you're a competitor, you signed it. Not everyone reads. That's on them. If you're going to sign something without reading it, that's on you. So we have signed signatures of every single competitor saying they understood the rules. Then when we reached out to them and said, congratulations, you've made it through, we sent an image in case that those words weren't clear enough. We sent an image with 4 bums actually, 2 ticks, 2 crosses, what was okay and what was not okay. Then approximately a week out of every competition, we sent another follow-up saying, please review the rules and regulations and costume guidelines. Now, how much more clearer can we make that? I don't know. Maybe there is something more that we can do. I know a lot of competes, and for myself, I'll go and say, if I do see something on stage, and you've all seen me do this at nationals, anyone who's ever competed with me has seen me, and I'll say, your costume's not to code. Let's work out something we can do to fix it, whether we glue it down, double side the tape, run out and borrow a pair of pants. At this stage, it doesn't matter. I don't want you disqualified. So we do everything within our power for this not to happen. We do not want this to happen. So, yeah. I don't know if that clears up your last years.
I guess it was in that respect to the lay crowd. I mean, I may be the person who's very conservative and more conscientious of the fact that the rules stated this and follow that because I don't want to risk it. But I guess the demonstration of seeing these girls winning and in tiny pants, and it was a bit, probably the assumption was made that was okay. And so then I guess it even if it was just an act of kindness to sort of, okay, we'll let this go for this time, but not anymore. I think that hopefully, we don't push boundaries like that more.
Do you think there's a way that we, like, as organizers, could communicate better? Like, yeah.
Um, I think I mean if there was an issue that there was a warning last year where it was a hey, this is getting tinier by the year kind of thing, maybe it would have been good to sort of alert a bit more from the like the local side of things. But I think for me it's a national comp. So what goes on the national level to me makes sense that you follow that national standard. Um, but yeah, that's the way I would look at it. But I think maybe there is the assumption that you know there was going to be a bit more leeway this time with since last year there were winners with the little pants.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
yeah,
I think that you can't assume because somebody else did something, you can do whatever you like. That's not how rules work, And with the extra steps that we made this year to make it even clearer, should have made that clearer. You can't be thinking, oh, last year I saw something a little bit smaller, I'm going to push the boundary and then just see if I can get away with it. That's not how rules work, So
yeah.
that's a decision each competitor makes when they go onto the stage.
Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly right. I feel like I wouldn't risk it if I wasn't absolutely certain and had evidence, like someone saying from the source that is definitely okay and we're fine with that. Like if someone didn't tell me that directly, that that was the rules have changed and we're now okay, there's no part of me that would have ever assumed that was okay. Yeah.
I don't answer the emails. I've got a team of people that help me. And we
Mhm.
do get emails saying, is this top okay? Are these pants okay? It's really easy just to shoot us a picture of it. We're there to help the whole time. We've always been there to help. So
Yeah.
there is that avenue that a competitor, if they're not sure, instead of like saying, I'm just going to push the boundaries, just ask us and we'll let you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when in doubt, always check. It's always best to check.
Yeah.
Never, never ever assume. I mean, wasn't it what's his face that said that? Assumption's the mother of all fuck ups.
I would love to ask you, as a competitor, when
Mm,
something like that is, because it doesn't happen very often, it's very rare that actually does happen, that we would announce something like that.
mm.
How does that make you feel when you placed and taking the shine away from what you did and celebrating the comp?
As in with it happening to others and affecting me as a
Yeah,
yeah.
having to others affecting you. Yeah.
I still feel sad. I feel really sad. I feel sad that because it was a really good night. It was very well run. We all did really well, I thought, on the night, and I genuinely feel sad that because I know how much work goes into these comps as a competitor, but I also understand that there has to be some level of governance to ensure that there is standardizations and consistency and all of those things. And I understand everybody's points of view. I just think there's no need to get nasty and vicious. I just don't like that. I've never liked that. And I think that everyone has reasons for doing things without assuming that there's malice intended with things. So give everybody the benefit of the doubt and sit down and actually have a conversation like a decent human being. That's
Yeah.
basic human, decency, I think, before.
Well, it becomes a pile on, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's when it gets out of hand and spreads like wildfire, and it's just embarrassing. I think personally I feel embarrassed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame that that those sorts of things spread like wildfire, but the
Yeah.
celebrations don't, like
Yeah.
the love and respect
Yeah.
that we have for each other. Like nobody is gonna get on the bandwagon of love of kindness instead of like this hateful anger. So it'll just be us. It'll just be us being like, be kind. Please be kind.
Yeah,
Don't
and I
be
mean, like,
mean to people. Just be
yeah,
kind.
yeah, and I think give people the chance to express before jumping to conclusions sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say also
Yeah.
that Felix was on the phone to her the day after. I rang her at 9:15 in the morning the next day to see if she was okay and to let her know from a national point of view why we've had to make a decision like that. So whatever you think, we actually do care. We care about every single one of our competitors. We wouldn't do this if we didn't, and we don't want anyone to be upset. So if you break the rules, that is on you, but we still care about you. You know, we still don't want you to be upset. I think that was never said either. And I think if you are going to jump on a social media post like that, like you said, maybe actually think there is probably another side to this. What is the other side? You know, we will talk about the red pant gate and all of that as well, but just think about what you're putting out there, because a lot of misinformation was spread. It was not accurate what happened. And to jump on something like that and try to tear a competition or a person to shreds without the correct knowledge and information is just simply the wrong thing to do. And it's a shocking thing to do within our industry. We are not big enough to be hurting each other like that, nor should we want to.
Yeah, and like I said, the world's going to do it for us anyway. So why do it?
Yes, we have to support each other. Yeah, it's hard enough as it is being a pole dancer. Every time any of us tell somebody that we're a pole dancer, it's like we have to explain ourselves afterwards.
Mm. Oh, believe me, I'm very familiar with that. With traditional family, but also work environments and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, why create more barriers to what we do and make things harder for ourselves? It blows my mind. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you. We love having you in the competitions. We appreciate you sticking to the rules.
Well, thank you for bringing your clarity to it, and also your unbiased opinion both ways. I think it's really appreciated, and we do, as organizers, need to hear that from our competitors rather than just seeing things online. It's so much more valuable to us if you come directly to us and have that discussion with us. So I think that if anything comes out of this that is positive, maybe it can be that that we can encourage those competitors, that we are always open to a line of communication. If you're ever in doubt of anything, that come to us, come ask us. Don't ask your friends, ask the organizers, because we will have the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's comforting, right? Like, that's reassuring, it's comforting, and it's the right thing to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Tiger Lily. You've been wonderful.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. And I hope everyone understands that I'm not taking sides. I want peace.
Yeah, we want peace too.
I'm like, well, this will be my third movie quote, but peace. That's all I want.
What about just pole peace? Can we just have pole peace?
Yeah. Not even world. We're not asking for much.
We just want a little bit of peace.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's all I'm here for, man. That's it.
All right. I'm here for it too.
Ladies.
Love you. Appreciate
you. Love you.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
I would just like to clarify what actually happened on the night, because there's a lot of misinformation that's circulating that does not accurately reflect what happened on the night. The costume requirements, they were not introduced at the competition. They were already contained in the competition rules that every competitor had agreed to prior. Competitors had also been provided photographs illustrating the required coverage, and an email was sent approximately a week before the competition, specifically reminding the competitors of the costume requirements. If anyone was uncertain, they could contact the organizational team for clarification before the comp. It has also been said that the particular costume was checked and approved by an organizer earlier in the evening, and that is also incorrect. The person who was approached was a backstage helper, and they were not part of the organizational team responsible for interpreting the competition rules, and they did not have the authority to approve a costume or override the rules. Neither I nor an authorized member of the organizational team was asked to approve the costume before the performance. This also wasn't a rule that applied just to one person. There were other competitors whose costumes did not meet the requirements, including G-string style coverage, and the same rule was applied. I completely understand that being disqualified after months of preparation is incredibly upsetting, and nobody involved in running the competition enjoys making that decision. It's not a decision that we enjoy coming to or have to make at all. But part of my responsibility in running the event is applying the published rules. I can't decide that a rule doesn't apply just because I don't want it to, or because somebody has worked incredibly hard. Every competitor on that stage has worked incredibly hard, and everybody needs to be treated fairly. We can absolutely review how we communicate and administer these rules going forward, and that's something that we should always be willing to do. But I do also think that it's important that this discussion starts with an accurate account of what happened. There's also an image circulating of the competitors performing the red pants that started the wildfire of social media. And that image has been used in connection with the disqualification. And we do need to correct that because those were not what the disqualification relates to. The competitor was in two separate events, two separate divisions. The red shorts were worn in her solo performance, and there was no issue with these shorts. They did meet requirements. She wasn't disqualified from that division at all. And in fact, she did place in that division. The disqualification occurred in the group division where a black leotard was worn, and during that performance, the bottom of the leotard had moved almost entirely between the buttocks, and was no longer providing majority coverage required under the very clear costume rules. So if you've seen a photograph of the red shorts and thought, how could somebody possibly be disqualified for that? She was not. Those shorts had nothing to do with the group disqualification. I then want to move on to why this was announced publicly. And there's also been criticism about the fact that the disqualification was announced publicly on the night, and it's important to explain the circumstances around that. Generally, we don't want to announce something like that in front of an audience. If there's any way of dealing with it privately and with a competitor only, that would always be preferable. The difficulty that we ran into on this particular situation was that there was only one group in the group competing in that division. So the division was one group, which meant there's only going to be one placing, unless there's a disqualification. And ordinarily, they therefore would have been receiving the group trophy by default, right? They're the winners. Once the decision that had been made that the performance couldn't be awarded because the costumes didn't comply with the rules, we couldn't simply move through every other award and then say nothing about the group division, because then the audience and also the competitors who are in the show would have just watched this group perform and expect them to be called. If we simply omitted the entire category, the obvious reaction would have been, what about group? So something did have to be communicated. It wasn't done to embarrass anybody or to make an example of them. It was simply necessary to explain why an expected award was not being presented. So before we made the announcements, we didn't want to blindside the competitors. So I did take the competitors aside in group, and I explained to them what was happening and why it had happened. Which I'm sure it's not fun. It wasn't fun for any of us, and I think that the sad truth is that really nobody wanted anybody to be disqualified, and that's what's really, I guess, heartbreaking about it, is that it's not just the competitors that are hurt when things like this happen. Like, we don't feel great either as the organizers. It's the last thing we want to have to do, because the reality of it is that it does put this like shadow across what otherwise would have been a really beautiful event. So yeah, unfortunately, it was no fun for everyone. But yeah, we did make the decision, or I did make the decision to tell them before they went on stage, and then have to find out on the stage. I just thought that was, if I was a competitor, that I would prefer to know rather than be on stage and then it be announced and me find out in real time as well as the audience. I just didn't think that would have been a nice experience.
Yeah. No, and I think there was no other way of going about it, because if you didn't announce a group and everyone knew there was only one group, the whole audience just watched it,
Mm,
well, then people are going to be yelling out, what about group? What about group? So there was
yeah.
no way you could not announce that they were disqualified. It was like your hands are tied at that point. What do you do? You know, obviously you don't want to call it out publicly, but actually also have to when in that circumstance. Normally what we've previously done, if somebody has been disqualified, you know, a lot of the time we just go, okay, well, they knew the rules, they've chosen to do that. And that actually does happen in a lot of competitions. A lot of Australians will know there's people that have gone into other competitions, for example, Miss Pole, with no shoes or throwing them off on the stage. I think that happened last year, didn't it?
I don't think it was last year, but yeah, the people
Yeah.
do go into comps and then aim to get disqualified. You know, they don't care about
Yeah, they're like,
getting a
I don't
place
like
or
the rules. This is what we're going to do.
yeah,
You
like,
know,
I still want my moment on stage, but I'm not gonna follow your rules, and it does happen.
know that they're going to be disqualified for doing that. So there's no point in us calling them out as well. You know, if somebody asks, obviously we'll let them know and then we'll explain in detail why. But it's certainly not something that we enjoy doing, and it's certainly not something that we want anyone to.
Yeah, to have to go through together.
So there has also been discussions about costumes worn by competitors who placed in previous years. The fact that a particular costume may not have been picked up in a previous year does not eliminate the rule. The costume requirement exists then and it exists now. What we recognised was that we needed to make that requirement even clearer, which is exactly what we did this year. Every competitor agreed to the rules and signed the waiver when they registered. When competitors progressed through the championships, their congratulation information included a visual example showing the required costume coverage. And approximately 1 week before the competition, we sent a further reminder, which we have said that now a few times. So by the time the competitors arrived to the stage, this wasn't a rule they were hearing for the first time. It had been communicated at multiple stages. We can't say that because a costume wasn't picked up in a previous year, the rule therefore no longer applies. If anything, identifying an area where there had previously been confusion was the reason we took additional steps this year to make the requirement clearer. Would we have preferred we picked it up before she went on stage? Absolutely. That would have been the best outcome for everybody, and that's something we can look at internally. Though I do want to touch on that point. If she had worn that costume in dress rehearsal or in rehearsal, they can either be dressed or they don't need to be if they don't want to wear their costume in rehearsal, you would have picked that up.
Mm. Well, she wore an even smaller one in rehearsal.
Right.
She wore like a full G-string in
Right.
rehearsal. So, like, the question, I think it was posed to, like, do you have a bigger costume? And she was like, yeah. But
Right. So the question was raised, and I find, I guess, perplexing is why we've been in WA for at least 13 years now. This has
yeah.
never happened until the last years. So we've had the same rules, the same
Yeah.
consistency throughout the entire time. So why 5 years ago was everyone okay with it? We've had 2 WA winners who've won nationals. They followed the rules. They had proper coverage. There was never a question. There was never a problem with it.
It's absolutely something that is doable. Like, it's not an impossible feat. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
Not a lot to ask either. We're not asking you to cover yourself head to toe. That's not
it's just,
a requirement.
It's just pants. It's just pants,
Just
guys.
wear
It's not that hard.
You can show a bit of your bum as well. It's okay. They're just
It's just pants.
yeah. But why has it been never a problem until now?
And suddenly it's like it's,
It hasn't
and
changed.
I think it's like what Daphne sort of touched on. It's like that person, and it's fine now. It's not a rule anymore. Like I just think it was like, I don't think it was a, I don't know. I sort of am more like when I'm more of a rule sticker to it, right? So if I was competing, I would not be like, oh, there's the rules here, but I'm not gonna listen to them. But I think that, yeah, that something got really, really confused over the last 2 years, and there's definitely must have been some sort of miscommunication either between competitors, or I don't know how it happened, but it did happen. And now we've got the job of like undoing that and like saying, no, 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 that was never right, and this is still the rule.
But that's not something that came from us. We never at any
No,
point
no.
said you can do whatever you want with
Do what you
the.
want.
So nothing came from us. There was always a very clear, consistent rule, and the rest of the country follows it quite strictly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
So
doable. We can do it. WA can do it. We can contain our butts. I believe in us.
I think it's important for everyone to know that competitors do also have a responsibility. They sign the rules when they sign up. You need to read them. You know, it's not just the costumes, it's all the rules. Music, grip, props, timing, costuming, judging criteria, conduct, all the rules. They exist in all professional organisations, all of the rules, go to football, go to swimming. There's rules for everything. Otherwise, it'd just be do what you want. And then how are you going to judge that? You can't.
Do what you want, Cobb.
Do what
Wear
you
what you
want.
like. Do what
Mom.
you want.
Yeah, I liked that one best. That's the winner. You absolutely cannot do that. Then you would be saying we're not consistent, and it's subjective how we've judged, So that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have a professional, consistent competition across the country.
Yeah, for sure. For
I
sure.
think,
I think asking the question is definitely
yeah,
a much easier thing to do, right?
yeah. I think we need to probably touch on coaches, because there has been some online coaches come jumping on board and having a bit of a discussion about it. So I think, do you want to talk about a coach's
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think like just from personal experience, the first thing that I do if someone tells me they've entered a competition, I say, which competition, and have you read the rules and regulations, like, and the judging criteria? Well, like, and I I know that a lot of people say no. Like I know that a lot of people
heaps
into
of people say
something,
no. Yeah.
and they say no. They don't know what the judging criteria is, and they don't know what the rules and regulations are. So I like that's my always my first homework, because if you don't know what the expectations of you are, then you can't prepare a piece that is going to get you the maximum amount of points that you can, and B, you're not going to know if what you prepare complies with the rules or not. So you put yourself in jeopardy. So that's usually the first question that I ask. And then if they're happy to proceed with not reading the rules, then I feel like I've done my due diligence as a coach. I don't coach very much though. If I was seriously coaching somebody to win, then and they haven't read the rules of regulations, I would be like I would be more persistent. But yeah, that I think as if you are coaching somebody who wants to progress in competitions, I think it is maybe part of your responsibility to guide them to how they can best progress through those competitions. And I do think that does include respecting the rules and regulations of each competition.
I'm going to talk about some coaches within the country. So within Australia, I'm currently based in Melbourne, so Victoria, and I want to talk about a handful of coaches here that are absolutely exceptional. So Bethany Finlay, obviously, she puts a lot of people into competitions. Miss Philly, Miss Philly knows every competition's criteria back to front. She could probably recite it to me. She is an exceptional coach that will make sure that whatever you're putting together with her works with that competition. Mishka, she's also incredible. She knows the criteria back to front. She knows that what you need to do to win it, and she'll be able to help you. Natty Stevens is an exceptional coach. I have seen her take people from an amateur to winning state heat professional division. So there is exceptional coaches that when you pay, or Lisa D, let's talk about Lisa D, and actually four of those people that we've just discussed, they've won APC. They've also, like three of them, I think, have won Miss Pole Dance Australia as well, or at least a couple of them have. They know criteria well. You cannot win a major national competition if you don't understand the criteria. Now, if you're an amateur or even a professional and you're seeking help and you are paying somebody to help you and to coach you, I also do think it's a coach's responsibility to make sure that everything is to the regulations, everything's to the rules. You're paying them to do that. They're also they're helping you put the routine together, but music, everything. The good coaches will guide you through all of that.
Costume, timing, everything. And also, like, an off point as well. Like, I think it's really important to run your costume. Like, you have to rehearse in your costume, because if you don't run your costume, then it could be fine when you start, right? But like maybe partway through, it's not compliant anymore. Like, it needs to be compliant the whole way through the routine, not just. And I think that probably one or two runs might not be enough. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable only dress rehearsing twice in a costume. I probably would need a few more, because like weird things happen on stage,
Yes.
Sometimes you just can't control it. Even with something you think is totally safe, something will happen. Like even in Cirque, I had my boobs fall out the bottom of my costume that in like hundreds of other times had been fine, and then they had to make a minor adjustment, and then that never happened again. And then my whole the whole gusset of my costume moved over to the right in a spatchcock. So like there's a lot that can go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try and eliminate as many variables as possible, right?
It is. It's especially in pole dancing. We don't have a lot of room to play with here. There's not much on there to start with. You've got to make sure that it meets the rules.
Yeah.
So basically, we need consistency, and I talk about it at a national level. I also do run a couple of state heats myself, but I've also got a lot of organisers. But it's really important that there's not one rule for one state and a different rule for every other state. We have to have consistency across the whole country. Otherwise, it's not fair. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it fair for everyone across the whole country.
It's so important that there's a standard that's held across Australia. And I mean, like we are all only humans, and so there can be these anomalies that pop up, but I think that it's an opportunity to try and unify everybody and make sure that everybody is on the same page and everybody does understand what is expected of them across Australia. So not just in WA, but across Australia, like you're saying, like the same rules apply to everybody in this competition.
Yeah, exactly right. Can you imagine being a competitor in another state saying, one state all go through wearing whatever they want, doing whatever they want, and then you are like, wait, hang on. Why do I have to have a rule then? That's not fair. That's not fair.
Fair. No. It's different standards. So, and I think that this it is a bit of an anomaly that's happened. I think that it's definitely something that can be rectified, and I think that you and I are trying our best to do everything that we can to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, because it's got to be fair, it's got to be the same, it's got to be uniform all through Australia.
Yeah, we've done some research on the rules in other competitions, because there's this big misconception that APC is the only one that has rules and regulations. We are not the only ones that have rules and regulations. All professional competitions have rules and regulations, and they're made for all sorts of reasons, but mainly to make it fair to all competitors is a big one. Ours is obviously we put extra rules in place because I can't really talk about too much in depth of what we're trying to do behind the scenes in APC until we are able to make things public. But what I can tell you is I have spoken to major, and I mean major sponsors. We're trying to get you on the world stage. You know, we're trying to do something big here. That's not for everyone, and that's okay. But some people have worked for over a decade trying to show people what they can do, and we want to give them a platform to do it on. But I do think it's really, really important to talk about other rules and regulations in other competitions so you do understand that this is not just us and it is across the board. You run Miss Pole Dance, so do you want to talk about that one?
Miss Pole WA?
Yeah.
I run the WA heat of Miss Pole Dance Australia. And we have rules. One of the rules is you have to wear shoes. So, you know, if you don't have your shoes on, then you will get disqualified. And that's one that's been in it for years, which is interestingly APC and WAPC, that rule doesn't exist. So in that sense, that APC rules are a lot freer. So you can wear shoes or you can't wear shoes. It's completely up to you. So yeah, there's a lot of different rules for different comps. A lot of the same rules as well, you know, like the decorum that you have on stage and backstage, like you must be respectful of your peers and of your adjudicators and organisers. I think that's usually included in most official documents, and that's it's so that everybody has a safe space, right? It's this mutual respect that we hope naturally happens, but we put it in writing so that everybody understands that they're coming into a space where they are safe and other people are safe. So we're all going to treat each other with respect.
Have an official code of conduct,
Yeah,
and it is to protect obviously the reputation of the championships, and it's also to protect individuals within the championships, so everyone is treated with respect, because I think it's really important to treat everyone with respect. It's okay to disagree, it's okay to not like something, but
for sure, and to have an opinion and to be disappointed and angry and sad, those are all valid emotions. But I think that what is important is that the sportsmanship, that we carry ourselves with a professional decorum that we are proud to present to the rest of the world, because as pole dancers we should be good sportsmen as well. I believe we should treat each other with respect. Like, you know, in the Olympics, you don't, or rarely do you see any sort of like personal drama affecting the sport. It's all
you don't.
professional. It's very professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there are sort of outbursts of emotion, those are usually dealt with, you know, and I think that it's important to try to strive towards that in pole dancing, because we do want to be taken seriously. You know, we do want to be on those world stages where our craft is as respected and as professional and offers as many opportunities as basketball or football, or, you know, because we are exceptional athletes and we don't have the same opportunities. But we won't, I don't think, get them if we don't treat each other with respect first.
Can you imagine that pole dancers were paid to compete like basketball?
Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that be good?
Let's just think about that, guys. This is
or like sponsored by, like get a massive sponsorship deal with Nike or something.
Can you imagine?
Like,
yeah,
it's such a the opportunities are limitless, really. Like there's no reason why it can't happen. Like Red Bull sponsors things like bicycling off of weird stuff into a lake, you know, it's possible. It's possible for us to take this thing even further and make it even bigger.
I'm telling you, it is there. I am speaking to people and we will get there. We will get there. If anyone will get there, we will get there.
Come on, guys.
There's more to it than meets the eye. And I think it's really important for people to understand that. I think if pole dancers thought that they could get paid like a professional sports person, our competition scene would just explode. Pole dancing in general would just explode. And that would be what an amazing opportunity for every single
For everybody, right? For
everyone
wins. So good, yeah.
Everyone wins. We'll go back still on other competitions and the rules that they have. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the Australian Pole Sports Federation because that is similar to ABC. All their published artistics rules say shorts must cover the glutes. They also prohibit underwear and transparent clothing that doesn't cover the breast, pelvis, gluteal area, and say failure to comply may result in disqualification. The Australian Federation directs its competitors to the IPSF rules when they want to. I don't know. They just send them there, all right?
We can talk about Miss Pole Dance Australia as well has completely different standards. Their rules require that genitalia and nipples and the perianal region to remain covered, with minor costume malfunctions receiving potentially a deduction. Full costume malfunction, that'll be if your boob is out, if your nipple is out, or if your perianal area is showing, will result in disqualification. And they also require stilettos for the entire performance.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's right. So if you take your shoes off or go onto the stage with no shoes on, you'll be disqualified. So if your nipples pop out on that comp, you'll also be disqualified. So it's not just us, guys.
Disqualifications can happen in all competitions.
In every competition, absolutely it can.
And I'm so sure that when they do, like, remember when Kaz's costume malfunctioned, was it 2 years ago? Like, nobody wanted to disqualify her. It's not something that you want to happen. You're like, oh, yay, a disqualification, delightful.
Yeah.
It's just never the case, yeah.
No, that's right. She handled that very professionally and very well. I will give Kaz that.
Yeah, that's she did.
Yeah. Mr. Pole World, again, different rules. Performers cannot perform nude or partially nude, although clothing can be removed and props have to be pre-approved by the organiser. So that's their rules. And I don't think Mr. Pole has to wear heels. That's just the MX.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, well, just all the different rules.
Yeah.
Even like, so when we were looking for rules, we were looking at like different countries and different rules and different standards, and even like the Dance Filthy in Sydney had different rules to the Dance Filthy in Canada. So I think that you have to know the comp you're entering and read through those rules and regulations, because even within the same comp in a different country or under a different umbrella, like there could be different rules.
Yeah, well, that's right. So that is, definitely something that we found. So look, there's actually a lot of rules here that I'm finding. So I guess the takeaway for this really is to read the rules. There's going to be grip rules. There's going to be music rules for every competition, not just ours, timing rules.
Yeah.
There is just so many rules out there. If you read the rules and you are still not sure, and if you go to the organiser and ask, then
that's going to be your clearest.
You can't get it wrong.
Yeah, that's going to be the way that you get the right information.
I think it's important to say that there's another group of people, I think, that have been completely lost in this conversation. Every other competitor who stepped onto that stage. People trained for months. They travelled, they spent money, they followed the rules, they put themselves on stage and achieved things they were incredibly proud of. We had winners, we had people place. And when one situation becomes the entire conversation after an event, it can unintentionally dull the shine of everybody else. Those competitors deserve their moment too. We can question a decision and we can debate a rule. We can talk about what could have been done better, but we should be able to do that without allowing one controversy to overshadow the achievement of an entire competition.
I think it's also important to clarify something around social media and the moderation. People are absolutely entitled to disagree with us and question our decision making and to criticize a rule, and we don't expect anybody to agree with everything we do. In fact, it's been majority of my career has been like convincing people that pole dancing is a mainstream thing and can be. So we've been fighting this battle for a long time, but we know that people are gonna not agree with us. And that's something that we're very used to in different arenas. But our social media pages are where we celebrate our competitors and our winners, and we have a responsibility to keep that environment positive and respectful. So there's a difference between respectfully disagreeing with a decision and repeatedly using the platforms to disparage the competition, to attack individuals, and to undermine competitors or diminish their achievements. So when that line is crossed, we may remove comments and restrict accounts or block people. That's moderation. It isn't a requirement that everybody agrees with us. It's just a decision that's made on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I will always keep our platforms as positive as I can. I'm open to listening to people's point of views. I will always do that as well. But I will not allow nasty negative comments on my social media pages. Our competition must be there to put a spotlight on our incredible competitors, and I don't want anything overshadowing that. And I think it's really important that we celebrate the competitors and their achievements more than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you know, it's their time to shine, and there's so much work goes into it. It's not just the competitors that place, it's the competitors that don't place as well. Even the competitors that get disqualified, they can also do fantastic performances and get disqualified. And that, those two things can also be true. You can have done a spectacular job, but not met comp standards. So I think that if we put aside our emotions and just celebrate like the beautiful things that actually happen on stage, which were, everybody did fantastic performances. It was such a beautiful night. And at the end of the night, everybody was safe. And that's also, as a comp organizer, something that is always a great success for me is I get to the end of the night and everybody's performed well, but most importantly, everybody stayed safe. Like that, hands down, that's a success for me.
Yeah. And I will say, and I think it's really important to say, we had a lot of competitors from WAPC reach out to us and say, thank you for running such an amazing comp, well organised, loved being there. It was fantastic to be on a big stage and we really appreciate it. Thank you for all the work that you've done. We actually had a lot of competitors reach out and say that.
Yeah.
I will say I've also had a lot of competitors from other states and previous winners reach out to me personally and say, are you okay, Elle?
Which is lovely, which is really lovely.
Yeah. Are you and Felix okay? Now, I will never, ever drag people down publicly. It's just not my style to do on social media. And I used to actually not say anything at all when these things would come up. But I think I have realized if I don't say something, somebody's going to create a false narrative on my behalf. And I don't think that that's fair. And I don't think it's fair for our competitors. So every now and then I'm going to speak up and I'm going to say, guys, that's not the case. That is not what happened. This is what happened.
Yeah.
Now, without arguing with people, like I'm not here to argue with people. I'm not here to debate something. This is just the way these rules are.
Yeah. And it is so lovely that, people reach out. And I think that also when people are upset, angry, sad, they do look for a person to attack. And I think that it is very unfortunate that has to be anybody. And I think it is very unfair when that person is you, especially. And I think that I think that there's been a lot of really, I would say, very mean-spirited comments that I've seen that I feel are really said with malice, and I I think it's really unfortunate that people take an opportunity to vent hatred. I think it's really, really unfortunate. However, it has been so lovely that people have reached out privately and seen the nastiness and wanted to check in, because I feel like instead of like jumping on a bad bandwagon, being a little bit empathetic with the people that are involved and seeing that if that was aimed at me, that wouldn't feel good, and wanting to check in is really important, because we've talked before about how this can impact your your well-being and your stress levels and everything. So it's not this the harsh words that you say online, they don't just go into nowhere. If you are talking about somebody, there's a chance that they're going to see those words and that's going to affect them physically. And yeah, I just think it's really sad that any of that ever happens.
Yeah. And I think also jumping on to the bandwagon when you actually don't know the full details or what's happened is not the best thing to do. It's not a good thing to do. It doesn't make the person that you're trying to tear down look bad. Everyone can see who's doing it and who's writing those comments. So think about how you want to be perceived out there as well.
It's just a shame, really, that people want to. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't even know like who we're talking to when we say these things. Like,
I'll tell you who we're talking to. We're talking to 90 countries and 850 cities. That's who we're talking to.
I feel like these are the people that aren't going to write nasty comments on about us.
The people
I feel
that
like the people that are with us and are hearing us, they're not the ones that are like, we're like, guys, just be kind. They're like, we are kind. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We are kind. Yeah. Well, we are kind.
Yeah.
We also have a job to do. We have a job to do.
It's like being a mum, like you love your children, but you still have to keep them in line, yes, we're kind, but we can't let our 2-year-olds run around with knives. That
No, exactly right.
you can be kind but still follow the rules. You can be kind and still enforce the rules. Yeah, it's of course, like it would have been so much easier for both of us if we were like, oh, never mind. The rules are there, but never mind. Like, yeah, sure, that would have been so easy, but where is the integrity of the competition going? Where is the fairness? Where is the standards? Like that's we can't do that.
No, we absolutely cannot. Like, before I actually say a final thought, I think, how about you tell everyone when you got disqualified, what
I
happened?
did get disqualified. I got disqualified from I think it was the last competition I ever did. Oh no, that's a lie. It was the second last competition I ever did. And I can't remember what the competition was called. It was one of the world competitions. It was in
Is it
Hong Kong.
IPC?
It might have been IPC. I can't remember. And I was disqualified because I was late to the briefing of the thing. And and I think this was more the reason, I was very hungover and I stank of alcohol. And it was because I think I was like I just finished up with doing one Cirque show. I'd won the world championships and I'd won Miss Pole Dance Australia. And then this was like the final thing. And it was my birthday the night before. And so, yeah, I did it to myself. But at the end, they told me I'd been disqualified. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I did that. Was it the most professional move I've ever made? No, absolutely not. I think I was all of 22 years old or 23 years old, and I wasn't really taking it very seriously. And yeah, I got disqualified, and I think somebody was like, no, but she was the best on the na. I was like, it doesn't matter. Like that doesn't matter. I did the thing. I acted unprofessionally, and I owned it. I was like, that's okay, never mind. Like that, I'm okay. I did the thing. I did the thing. yeah, I think that um I don't think it's a like an example that correlates very well to this situation, because I was like at the end of a big tour and things, but it didn't feel nice to be disqualified. It wasn't like an enjoyable thing, and it wasn't like I completely didn't care. Of course I did care, but I did accept it, and I did appreciate where everyone was coming from.
Yeah. Did you compete? Did they allow you to compete, or they said no?
Yeah, they let me compete. Yeah.
Well, just for the record, guys, if you come to APC drunk, you will not be getting on those poles. That is also in my rules.
It's a good rule that to be, and I don't think I was drunk. I think I was very hungover, but still. Yeah, that was in the morning and the comp was until the evening. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Don't drink and pole dance.
Please
Okay? Do not do it.
No, it's not. It's really not good. Look, takeaway from this, after decades of pole evolving, where do we want competitive pole to be in another 10 years or 20 years? If we want bigger theatres, bigger audiences, stronger sponsorship, mainstream media opportunities, which we do, and competitors recognised for the extraordinary athletes and performers they are, inevitably going to be conversations about standards, presentation, professionalism. People absolutely should be part of those conversations. We should listen, we should evolve, and our rules can evolve too. But change needs to happen through conversation and evolution, not through each individual deciding which rules apply to them. That's why this has never really just been about a G-string. It's about what kind of competition we're trying to build, the responsibility we have as organisers, the responsibility competitors and coaches have. And I will also add judges there as well. Have consistency and fairness to everyone who enters, and ultimately where we want competitive pole in Australia to go next.
Amen.
Amen. Peace out, mate.
Peace out. I can be kind. It is unfair that like some of the things that I have seen on social media are like Felix, it's not Felix, it's Elle. Like it's Elle's rules. And as the organizer of the WA heat, it is my responsibility to enforce the rules. They're not Elle's rules, they are the competition rules, right? And if I'm ever in doubt, of course, I'm going to call you, right? Like I'm going to be like, I need to know like this is the right thing. So I will always, if I'm in doubt, I'll be on the phone to Elle, right? Because you're my mecca of the comp. But it is something that I, as the organizer, will enforce the rules because they are the competition rules, not my rules, not Elle rules, the competition's rules. If anything, they are the rules of the competitors, right? So if you're competing, they're your rules. I'm not competing. I'm not on the stage. I'm not involved. I didn't sign the competition thing saying that I'm in the competition. So these are just rules, right? They're not a decision that's like, oh, I don't like that girl, I'm gonna disqualify her. They're the rules, they're standardized rules, and they apply to everybody. And I'm there to enforce them. So it's a little, I think, unfair to say that it's not me when it is me.
I would like to say also something about the girl in question. I don't think I need to say her name because this podcast does go out to thousands of people every time we release it and over many, many countries. But I would like to say about the incident, I loved having this girl in our competition. She's a beautiful dancer. She comes up with the most creative routines, and I have appreciated her being in our competition every single year. It is I genuinely love seeing what she's going to create next. And she's just getting better and better every time we see her. I'm sad that this happened to her, but I also, as a championships owner, I have to have the same rules for everyone. We can't just be one rule for one person and one for the other. And I'm sorry that this happened. But as we've said over and over again, that's the rules for the competition. So we can't just let it slide.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, you and I both, we are always looking at ways to improve and ways that we can, if we need to get better. And yeah, I think that if you do have any questions, if you are thinking about competing, then, let us know and we'll answer all your questions as best we can. Like it doesn't have to be a drama. It doesn't have to be a hard thing.
Yeah. We are here to help you. And we will do whatever we can to make sure that there's clarity for you. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have to say.
Amen. Should we finish with a fun fact or something?
Yeah. Oh, God. Should we finish with a beauty tip?
You want a fun fact? I'm gonna find you a fun fact.
A fun fact.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought I should finish it on something that's not a downer.
Oh,
Did
I
you
don't
know
know.
a crocodile cannot stick its tongue out?
No.
Was that a fun fact?
No.
Did you know that
Did you think it was fun?
I mean, look, I put fun fact into Google and this is what it gave me. A shrimp's heart is located in its head.
I didn't know that.
Did you?
Yeah, because I've done 2 billion years of competitions and we make everyone give us a fun fact. So that one I definitely knew.
All right, you give me a fun fact then.
You know what? I literally put in to chat GPT, give me the funnest fun fact, and GPT gave me a fun. I'm not making this up, about dance filthy.
Go.
It says fun fact: a dance filthy you can perform in a G-string and pasties, but you still can't put grip directly on the pole.
There you go. That's a fun fact.
Fun fact. Okay, I'm going to say not about pole. And Shimmy, if you're listening, is that true? Okay, I've got a couple for you.
Okay, go.
They're not even that fun. Oh, this is interesting. Sharks existed before trees.
Oh, that is interesting. How about this one? Koala fingerprints look so remarkably similar to human fingerprints that they have accidentally messed up real crime scenes.
I knew that one too.
Ah, hell.
I knew that one. I'll give you one that's a really good one. I kind of love
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Cows.
Yeah.
That's us. Cows. Wait for it. Have best friends.
Oh, okay. Forgiven. Oh, you cow.
Should I put a picture of us with our heads on cows?
Yeah. And this thing.
For our cover of this. Cows.
Yes. No.
Cows have best friends, guys.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cows can be friends.
Oh, I like this one. Ready for this one? Scotland's national animal is the unicorn.
I knew that.
How cute is that?
I did know that. As an English lady, I did know that.
Wow.
It's on our passports as well.
Is it?
Unicorn. Yeah, there's a lion and a unicorn.
Oh, I love that. I would like a unicorn on my passport.
All right. I think that's enough.
Oh my God. Wait, I've got a good one. Are you ready?
Go. Yeah.
Penguins have been observed proposing with pebbles.
Oh.
Oh my God, I love penguins.
It's the penguins. Even penguins can romance. What the heck, man?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So cute.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
Should we finish it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Guys, thank you so much for listening and for coming on this journey with us. And we will be back with you shortly with some other fun facts and maybe some more talk about pole dance.
Bye.
Bye.